Hey guys, so I've got a question for you. Why is America always at war? I guess we're going to learn something today. Let's get straight into this one, guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Right, first thing, that looks like Mojave Desert. Looks like the 29 Palms training area. Been there, done that. Looks awesome, man.
The United States has been almost constantly at war since Vietnam. America is currently in 6 different wars, all of which are in the Middle East. About 1.4 million Americans serve in the US military and risk their lives to protect our freedoms and keep us safe, and we thank them for it daily.
Absolutely.
For over a century now, the world has become more and more of a globalist and interventionist society. In other words, don't just worry about problems at home, worry about problems outside of home as well.
Yeah,
But why?
that's true, innit? It never used to really be like that. Even 20, 25 years ago, ever since the infamous 9/11, really, the world became a global stage for fear, and it has been ever since, all right? Whatever America is involved in, Britain is involved in by default. Whatever Britain is involved in, Americans worry about. Whatever the French are getting involved in, we both worry about. It definitely is a global affair now in terms of the worry related to whatever endeavors a country's actually, involved in.
Why is America always at war?
World
It's called the
police.
military-industrial complex. The term was coined by Republican President Dwight D. Eisenhower in his farewell address.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
But what is this ever-influential military-industrial complex he referred to? He was referring to the coalition of the U.S. military and its industry, the defense industry.
What was he though? Was he actually referring to that, or was he referring to the world holistically doing the same thing? I don't think he's talking about just America. All right, I don't think he's just talking about America within that sentiment.
The government doesn't manufacture weapons. Companies do. In the 2017 fiscal year, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and General Dynamics were the top 3 contractors of the federal government. You can see the link to the top 100 in the description. These companies manufacture cargo planes, helicopters, fighter jets, cruise missiles, and more for the US military. Lockheed Martin alone received 10% of the Defense Department's budget, and the top 3 combined receiving
Wow.
$90 billion from the government. At least 85% of Lockheed Martin's profits come from government contracts.
Why is America always at war? And the first thing the video starts talking about is how much money private companies make. And you guys, you couldn't write this. There'll be people out there guaranteed will literally be commenting, disagreeing with that statistic, that fact. All right, that private companies benefit from it. But I'll let you guys view the comments and laugh accordingly. Okay.
They and all the other defense companies rely on the government to keep their business afloat. More specifically, they rely on the government being at war, so they have to influence the government to keep it that way.
That's
Groups that
crazy, man.
influence the government are known as interest groups, and the defense industry is an interest group. The ultimate goal of an interest group is to create an iron triangle. An iron triangle is created when the interest group and the bureaucracy are getting mutual benefits. In our case, the defense industry is benefited by getting their money, and the Defense Department of the bureaucracy is benefited by getting their weapons. But what is the third vertex of the triangle? Congress. In order for the bureaucracy to spend money, Congress must allow the money to spend. So, the defense industry must influence Congress. One of the biggest ways of doing this is campaign contributions. The defense industry has many PACs, or political action committees, that donate money to congressional, senatorial, and even presidential campaigns. In the 2016 congressional election, Lockheed Martin contributed a total of $1.2 million to Democratic candidates and $1.9 million to Republican candidates. The Clinton presidential campaign received $150,000 from Lockheed Martin PACs, and the Trump campaign $43,000. With the military-industrial complex...
Yeah, and this is what we know of, all right? What about the backhanders that they're getting involved in? When you look at the whole thing, I mean, I'm not too clued up on the politics of America. I don't want to get too clued up on it because it's a messy affair. But when push comes to shove, being involved in wars generates money through the purchase and the sales of ammunition and weaponry, and it's just a very simple cycle. But it gets complicated with politics, and I think they do that on purpose to disguise the fact that billions is being made. You know, it's really, really corrupt and horrendous when you think about the lives that are lost at war, though. You know, and the patriots that we get from the military are being used, as far as I'm concerned. I think, yeah, it's a touchy subject, guys.
The defense industry contributes money to congressional campaigns, which gives Congress incentive to declare war and allot funds to the Defense Department, who buys weapons from the defense industry. This iron triangle may be the strongest one there is. But is it a good thing or a bad thing? There are both pros and cons to the military-industrial complex. One positive aspect is the technology that's come out of it. Transistors were not profitable prior to the military's purchase of them. Transistors would come to replace cathode ray tubes, which would create modern computers and personal technology.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough way to go about the benefit of technology, though, isn't it, really? It's a pretty hard route to go around and say, yeah, you know what, well, here's some positives, technology's been innovated and it's excelled, you know, on an unbelievable scale. Yeah, fact, but how many lives have been lost? How many families have been ruined? How many generations have been wiped off the face of the earth for that? It's... In my eyes, that's not a pro at all. That's not a pro, guys.
Without it, we'd live in a world of 1950s technology.
Yeah, so
Another
what?
benefit is innovation. The military will only continue to buy technology if it continues to be innovative. The same way you'll only buy a phone if it's better than the one you already have.
iPhone, iPhone 3G, iPhone 4,
iPhone 5, iPhone 6, iPhone 7.
This also creates jobs in the engineering field, which is great for the economy. There are many cons as well. First and foremost are the lives of soldiers. Nearly 60,000 American soldiers have lost their lives in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
This is the thing that really gets me, upsets me, man. Because we look at these numbers really with... Most people just don't really bat an eyelid. They don't really care. You can tell them those numbers, but it's like, doesn't affect me, so it doesn't really matter. But it affects me. I look at those numbers, 60,000 lives perished Iraq, Afghanistan, American alone. That's like a football stadium. I don't know, man. These are human beings being torn from our planet. Yeah, I could go on all day about the problems with this.
The ethics of lobbying are also questionable. Critics say it's a form of bribery or even extortion. The national debt is also a huge concern. The US is $21 trillion in debt as of the making of this video, with about $700 billion going to the military each year. Whether this is a good or a bad thing is up for you to decide, but the defense industry can easily overcharge the government because of the Iron Triangle. The revolving door effect is also an issue.
I mean, my kind of take on it is if they're that much in debt and that much debt exists and it's not really doing what is the actual impact? I mean, is it going to impact them at all? Does it even matter how much debt they are? Who's going to do anything about it? What's anyone literally going to do? Let's face it, that number could be 100 trillion, and so what? Who's going to do anything about it? You know what I mean? Who's going to do anything about it?
Dick Cheney was the Secretary of Defense under President George H.W. Bush.
And for that reason, I will not say anything tonight about the operation that is currently underway.
And then became CEO of Halliburton, an oil company, in 1995. When he ran for vice president on a ticket with George W. Bush, he retired from Halliburton. Then, during his tenure as vice president, Halliburton was given a $7 billion contract before the Iraq War.
John, keeping in mind that Halliburton is a major contributor to the Republican campaign and that Vice President Cheney is its former CEO, this move by the government is extremely...
Stephen?
Hold on a second, John.
This is why it's called a revolving door. And that is the Iron Triangle of the military-industrial complex. Some people say there's a fourth vertex, an iron quadrilateral, with the fourth part being the media. They say that the media promotes militarism, and since it's a bipartisan opinion, it applies to all networks. Until 2011, General Electric was the parent company of NBC. General Electric also happens to be a subcontractor for Tomahawk missiles and B-52 bombers, which are both heavily used in the military.
The links are unreal.
The organization known as FAIR, Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting, noted that, quote, when correspondents and paid consultants on NBC television praised the performance of U.S. weapons, they were extolling equipment made by GE, the corporation that pays their salaries.
This is blowing my brains clean out. And you'll get people who'll go, this is a load of rubbish. I don't believe so.
Also, leading up to the Iraq War in 2003, MSNBC canceled their top-rated show, Donahue, hosted by Phil Donahue. Donahue would publicly speak out against the war on the show frequently, which leaks after the fact confirmed was the reason for the cancellation.
Donahue's anti-war stance is just not going to be very good for us against the flag waving on the other station.
To conclude, whether the military-industrial complex is a good thing or not is up for you to decide, but it is the reason why America is always at war. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
There's one thing that I'm going to say about that contradicts some of my opinions on this. Let's just say it does exist, and we've got the reason why America's always at war. I'd rather have America as the global superpower anyway. Let's get that straight. I would rather that. Why? Because I could go into many positive reasons as to why, but I think in terms of their moral alignment on the soldiers level, all right, I'm not talking about politics and high up generals and stuff, just on the guys levels from my level, all right, just the soldiers on the ground, the best in the world, moral compass is set in the right direction, yada yada yada. But who else would you rather have, all right? Britain hasn't got the numbers, hasn't got the money, hasn't got the influence anymore like it used to. So in my eyes, yeah, I'm happy with that scenario. But the industrial complex, the military industrial complex, is, as far as I can gather, you know, and I've always kind of thought this, and everyone probably thinks the same. It's a money making business on an unbelievable scale. But someone's got to do it. Who's gonna do it? It's a tricky subject, guys. If you want to drop a comment below with your thoughts on this whole thing, I think this could be a big debate. All right, let's chat below, guys, on your thoughts.